Hey everyone, I'm doing a bit of a different format for this video just because I wanted to get it out quick given the awesome announcement we just got. As you probably know, Nolyn is the next scheduled novel set for the world of Elan. It is the first book of the Rise and Fall trilogy. Currently in the book's development, it's been written, Robin has completed her alpha read, and it just went out to beta readers recently. Currently, the Kickstarter is tentatively scheduled for February. Those supporters will get the ebook in May, and the published books are hitting stores next August. So we still have a bit before it comes out, but for those of us not lucky enough to be beta readers, we got something really exciting this week. Michael J. Sullivan and Tim Gerard Reynolds have collaborated to bring us the first chapter of the audiobook. So if you haven't already, go down to the description, click the link, and listen to the first chapter. It's like 20 minutes long, and then come back. Alright, so first thing first, Sullivan did confirm that the Rise and Fall series will be more similar to Riyria Chronicles, where they are more standalone novels opposed to one large story with cliffhangers, like Legends of the First Empire series. This makes sense since the books are spaced far apart in a timeline. Nolyn starts about 800 years after the First Empire series. Fairlane will probably be a bit of over 1,000 years after that, with Ezrahadin a couple hundred years after that. So it makes sense that they're standalone and we won't have to deal with the cliffhangers that are Age of Legend and Age of Death. Those ones were rough. So next let's get into the actual story. And just a quick spoiler warning, I am going to be talking about some topics from the Legends of the First Empire series, so if you haven't read that and don't want to hear those, I would stop now. But first, I do want to read the teaser summary that we have already had for Nolyn for a couple months now, just so we can get some context about the book. After 200 years of service, the heir to the Empire is suspicious about his reassignment to active duty on the front lines of the Goblin War. His first assignment to rescue an outpost leads to a dead-end canyon deep inside enemy territory. Suspicion turns to dread and then sinks to despair when it's discovered no such outpost exists. But whoever went to the trouble of making his death look like an accident didn't know anything about the 7th Sicaria Auxiliary Squadron he was assigned to. In the depths of an unforgiving jungle, a legend is about to be born, and the world of Lon will never be the same. So, just as the summary states, we start out with Nolyn, who, as we know, is the son of Persephone and Nephron. He was born in Age of War and is heir to the throne. In this first chapter, Nolyn is in the jungles of Killinia, which is probably what is referred to as Calilin in the First Empire series, or Calais in the Riyria series. He and his squadron are fighting the Gazelle when he realizes that he's been betrayed. One quick note, the 7th Sicaria Auxiliary Squadron could be named after Siccar, who was an Instaria Frey, who acted as Persephone's shield for a time while Moya was gone in Age of Death and Age of Empire. Anyway, the first big piece of interesting information that we get is when Nolyn recalls his love interest, Zephyrin. At first, this name might sound like a female version of Zephron, who is Nolyn's grandfather, but we actually know exactly who this is. At the very end of Age of Empire, when Persephone is talking to Malcolm, she says, "What about Moya, Tekchin, and Zephyrin? Oh, you probably don't know their daughter, do you?" So Persephone's son and Moya's daughter probably became childhood friends and later love interests. The next familiar name that comes up is Bran, when Nolyn thinks, first Bran, now me. She'll be alone, the last of us. As we know, Bran is the son of Ronan Gifford. He's named after Bryn. Due to some foreshadowing by Trylos in Age of Empire, and from some information we learned in Death of Dulgath, Bran certainly seems to have lived a memorable life. And it seems he formed the childhood trio with Nolyn and Zephyrin. So it does make sense that he would be long dead by this point, since he is not part Frey. Unless something magical happened, he's probably been dead for over 700 years at this point. The next character of note we meet is Amicus Killian, who is the first spear in the squadron. The first thing that stands out is his three-sword setup, which obviously brings about images of Hadrian. But even more interesting, I think, is his name. Nolyn specifically says that Killian is not a common surname. So if we go back to the first Empire series, Brigham Killian was one of Tesh's Teshlors. In fact, there's a quote, "Brigham Killian had achieved what Tesh considered competence in all the disciplines. He was the only one to do this, which means once Tesh left for good and the Teshlor Guild became a major pillar of society, Brigham Killian was probably very high-ranking, if not even the leader of the Teshlor Knights. So given Amicus's description and name, my guess is that he is a descendant of Brigham, and most likely a Teshlor himself. Reinforcing this, when Nolyn says they only have to kill 10 goblins each, the second spear states that should be possible, especially considering Amicus, which reinforces that he must be quite the warrior. Now, as he is in hiding, and given his intense distrust of the Instaria, my guess is that he has somehow been betrayed or kicked out of the Teshlor Guild, but my inclination is that he is going to become a main character in the book. The next topic I picked up on is the Goblins. They mention the Duratran Gazelle, or the mountain goblins in the north, and they also mention the Gur Ambran, which roughly translates to jungle ones, which are the goblins they're currently fighting. This is exciting because in all the other series, we really only ever deal with the Baran Gazelle, so we may be learning much more about the Gazelle in this book, which, as Turin's people, a lot of readers want to know more about this race. So that pretty much covers all of the Easter eggs I caught from my first listen. If anyone else caught something I may have missed, or if you're just excited for Nolyn, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you all next time. Thanks!
Thank you so much for watching today's video. Be sure to subscribe and watch my other videos to learn more about the world of Elan and Riyria. Thanks!